Hey everyone, thank you so much for popping onto my channel. I hope that these group readings today can bring you the clarity, confirmation, and peace that you need to move forward on your right path with greater conviction. Please know that I do offer an array of personal readings and breathwork journeys, breathwork and meditation containers, personal and sometimes group offerings in person and online. And if you want to stay in the loop with all of my offerings and any special announcements, please make sure that you are subscribed to my website. Our topic today is on the next leap of faith that you're being encouraged to take, and we're also going to dive into what you're being encouraged to release, as well as what you're being encouraged to step into. So please do let me know how your reading resonates in a comment, and do like this video if you did extract value from it. There are 4 piles to choose from today. Always take your time and keep in heart that there just may not be a reading here for you today if none of the piles really stand out or resonate. And whenever you guys are feeling ready, we're going to hop right into these readings. What's up, group number 1? Welcome to your reading all about your next leap of faith. There are 3 aspects to this reading we're getting into today. The first is the leap you're being encouraged to take, what you're being encouraged to release, and what you're encouraged to step into. Okay, at least that was the intention, because something really interesting happened in your guys' reading as I was shuffling and pulling for the sections that we'll get into as we get into the reading. If you guys want if you want a personal reading, I do offer personal readings at this time. You can check that out by heading to the link in my description box. And I offer a variety of spreads, but also if there is a topic that you want to dive into that's not offered on my website, like a spread that's not offered, I can for sure put together a custom reading for you. Just let me know, just send me an email and we'll chat about it. And other than that, I do also offer personal breathwork sessions and a lot of group things as well, online and in person. So make sure you're subscribed to my website to stay in the loop with those things. So to get into this, I feel like, okay, so how I shuffle for this reading, I will shuffle the cards many times and I'll search in the deck for the Fool card, and the cards that come before tell me what you're being encouraged to release, and the cards that come after tell me what you're being encouraged to step into. And in this case, there were no cards coming after. The Fool was on the very bottom of the deck when I flipped over, and I thought that was so telling, especially when that happens in these types of readings. That gives us a lot of information to work with. So in this case, because we have the 7 of Cups and the 2 of Wands and the Fool, like the 2 of Wands and the Fool kind of give similar energy of going on a new adventure and just taking a leap towards something that feels right. I feel like what might be happening in your reality right now is that you feel like you have a lot of choices. This could be romantic, this could be different jobs, this could be different places that you want to live. It feels like there are, like, in terms of this next leap and a new direction you want to go, I'm getting the idea that you guys don't really, like, you guys have a lot of options. And so it seems unclear about what direction you should go or which choice you should make. And really what I'm getting, because we don't have anything of the what you're encouraged to step into, and the work through your fears tells me that there probably is one thing that seems the most fun to you, or seems the most like exciting, but it may be not the most realistic with the 2 of Wands, or it might not seem that way to you. And with the work through your fears and the 2 of Wands together, this really does give me the idea to that it just further confirms that idea that maybe there's a direction that really does stand out to you. And there just might be some blockages in terms of your mind becoming overactive and how is this actually going to work. It might not seem the most practical, or might seem a little risky, right? But that's what the Fool is all about. The Fool is about taking those leaps of faith, taking those risks. And the thing about this is I am seeing that there is a lot of wisdom to be gained at this time for you. And because this is coming with nothing that you're stepping into, I feel like the first impression I got was that your guides really want this to be an experience where you're extracting your own wisdom, your own ideas of why this was the pathway for you, or like there's a lot of lessons to be had no matter what decision you make, because you're going to gain information from the decision you make. So if you choose something that does feel a little less exciting, you're going to get information about that, and you're going to feel the dissonance of, man, I chose something more practical over more exciting. Maybe you chose the money over the like what lit your soul on fire the most, or maybe you chose the partner that checks all the boxes on a mental level, but just for whatever reason doesn't feel like they light your soul on fire. That kind of thing, where like it's not going to make the pathway for you, the leap that you're being encouraged to take is the one that doesn't make the most amount of sense. But it feels so good. It feels so right, I should say, in every bone of your body, because the pathways that are the most right for us, it doesn't mean that it's always going to be smooth sailing, but like the battles we fight and the challenges we come across within those timelines, it just feels right. You're like, yes, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is how I'm supposed to be growing, in the ways I'm supposed to be growing, and the person I'm supposed to be growing with, or in the timeline I'm supposed to be growing, right? And so if anything, you're going to have a big opportunity to work through your fears when choosing the path that really sets you on fire the most. And it's just like a wave. I feel like there's a wave coming, and it's like you want to catch the wave as it's coming, but it doesn't mean more waves won't come. So I do want to help soothe your fears in this moment that you could make a wrong decision, or that it's now or never kind of thing. I feel like the things that are meant for us will not pass us by. And so even if you do take, the lesser of the exciting option or options in this moment, I feel like that's not to say that the doorway won't open, but either way, you're going to gain information. You're going to gain wisdom, which this was the bottom of the deck energy, was the Hierophant. So it's something you might not see about this is, your guides really want you to bring it back to the fact that this is not just surface level. It's not just about the 3D. It's not just about the partner. It's not just about the job or whatever it seems to be like the decision you're making. It is and it isn't. Like it's more about the lessons that you're learning, and how this is meant to evolve your soul, essentially. And so either way, you're going to gain really good information. It's just like when you have an intuition to like drive a certain way to work that's like different, and then you take the same route anyways, like your mind overrides your intuition. You take the same route anyways, and then there's like a shit ton of traffic because there was like an accident or two, and you're like, wow, like my intuition was really telling me, this, or like, when you go to a party, for example, like maybe it's like, oh, I kind of want to sleep. Like, I don't really want to go to that party. And then you're like, but I just feel like I need to be there. I don't know why. Your mind might be like, well, you can sleep. You don't have anything to do. You cannot finally sleep in after waking up so early every day or something like that, right? Your mind's trying to override it, but your intuition's like, I just need to be there. And then you go there, and then you meet someone incredible and you make a great contact or something like that. It's kind of like in these realms where it's like, Spirit doesn't really want you to know what's on the other side of these things, because it's like a self-gained wisdom that is really important. It's part of the lesson. And also it's like just a strengthening of intuition and a deepening of your trust in yourself and in life and in things to work out. But either way, you're going to get really solid information. With this new moon in Scorpio, I feel like, it's, Scorpio is all about the things that reside in like the underworld of our psyche. And so, to not take the fears that are coming up at face value, to not make it mean like, fear is not the same as intuition. Okay. And so there's a new moon, there's a new beginning that's being reiterated, but this new beginning is also going to come with it. It's just expanding your horizons, expanding your comfort zone. And so of course, it's going to push these things up to the surface as you step into a bolder version of yourself. So either way, I feel like just to reiterate, what you're encouraged to release is the idea that you can make a wrong decision. But also, I feel like if you're really honest with yourself, it seems like you have a lot of options, but if you're really, really, truly honest with yourself, there's one option that really stands out the most, and that's what the Two of Wands represents. It's like there's several options, maybe, and the option that's going to expand you, that's going to help you that's going to bring you the world,
In this case, the World card with the little world is what's standing out to me. And that's like everything you could want, a feeling of completion, a feeling of completing karmic cycles and overcoming lessons, integrating soul lessons, etc. Okay, but like even in this card, there's one that seems like it's the brightest, right? There's one option that's really just like so beaming, right? And the other options might be enticing in their own way, but there is definitely one thing that really stands out to you. And it's probably the thing that is the most exciting, but also has the most amount of fear attached to it. And it seems the most risky, right? But it's risky if you do, risky if you don't. And I do feel it's been my experience that the things that are the most risky in life are the things that we want the most, we want to explore the most, and that, just fear gets the best of us and we recoil. The decisions that we'll regret the most are the decisions that we make in fear. And I've had many, this is something that my guides worked with me many years ago, and I was getting really visceral and real and tangible examples of this left and right. The decisions that we make in fear, that's almost like your higher self showing you what's part of this timeline, and it's like regret and remorse and just wishing that we had taken the leap, right? But there's a lot of there is a lot of information to be gained. The last thing before I close this reading, you guys, I'm sorry, I kind of like started thinking about something else, and so I didn't close that thought in the best way. Ultimately, I just want to say the decisions we make in love and the decisions we make where we're trusting the universe, and we feel that sense of expansion, that's your indication of what's down that path, is more of that feeling, okay? So when you're choosing a timeline, whatever one feels the best, go there, because that's just going to keep expanding you brighter and brighter and keep merging you with higher and brighter timelines that, again, are going to come with their own challenges and things to grow you and things that help you ground and stay in that reality. Those challenges will help push you beyond who it is that you were when you were making those decisions, and you're stepping into those timelines. And so life will present to you things that help you actually maintain that timeline. It's one thing to merge with it and to have it be available, but it's another thing to then go through the process of refinement to where you're now this is your new baseline, and now we're ready for the next leap, now we're ready for the next doorway, the next adventure, the next expansion. Okay, so lastly, with the Hierophant, something you might not see, there might be some mentor coming into your life, or just some resources or knowledge or information, or to really just watch out for those signs and synchronicities that are confirming these things to you, and being open to the wisdom that's coming. And I'm getting that there's maybe some sort of book that will come. You're flipping through the pages of a book, and it just watch for those things that confirm to you what you already know to be true, and that you can count on your wisdom, that your sense of connection to the divine, your kind of self-sourced wisdom is wisdom that you can rely on. But this is all about wisdom and learning and being your own best guide. And I just feel like there's people, there's resources, there's knowledge, there's information that's going to be coming in within the next few days. And I feel like up to you making this decision, and even after you making this decision, that confirms what your highest path was, and hopefully you chose that. And it'll, I hope it just brings you a slew of confirming messages. And even if you don't choose what feels the most exciting, I feel like you'll also get information and knowledge and resources that just, again, it's like the universe is always meeting us where we're at. This is a university for the soul. I cannot tell you how it works as intrinsically and beautifully and just perfectly as it does, but it will. You'll always be brought the next lesson that you need. And so whichever one you choose, you'll be brought the next curriculum that you need to always keep expanding you in the direction that you're meant to be expanded. Because ultimately, we're all moving in the same, direction, but some of us take more or less detours, and that's totally fine. It's just an adventure. We have an eternity. What the fuck else are we gonna do? So I'm gonna leave this reading here for now, my friends. Good luck with everything, and you have all that you need. I do offer options spread on my website that helps us tune into different timelines. So if that's something that resonates, maybe we can explore there. But otherwise, it seems like your guides are really adamant that you learn these lessons on your own, and that they just kind of want you to focus less on about what you're stepping into, and more about the lessons, the energy, and just the process of growth and soul growth and expansion and trust. Most importantly, trust and self-sourced wisdom. So I hope to see you guys soon. Much love. What's up, group number 2? Welcome to your reading, your next leap of faith. Okay, so there are 3 aspects to this reading today. First is the leap you're being encouraged to take. Then the second is what you're being encouraged to release and what you are encouraged to step into. Okay, we've got some bottom of the deck energy going on along with some Moonology oracle cards. Okay, so first I just want to say I do offer personal readings at this time on my website, and I also offer personal and group breathwork and meditation sessions. And you can find everything on my website. Maybe consider subscribing to my newsletter so you can stay in the loop when I do offer free group containers online and in person, and also paid for as well. It's a good way to just stay connected and to stay in the loop of offerings. Okay, so what you're being encouraged to leap into. It's interesting because I feel like this next leap of faith, it seems like you're being encouraged to stay where you are. And to really deepen your trust in this direction. It's almost like your leap is like you're leaping even further into like this container of growth. And I do believe the Lovers card is here, group 2, because this is a really good analogy that's coming up, and it might be very well what you guys are inquiring about. It might have something to do with the analogy that Spirit is giving to me right now, but it also can be applied to other areas. So it's kind of like when you are in something that you really like cherish, or like when you meet someone new and there's sparks and you're super excited, right? And the seeds are there, and there's little else but hope and excitement in laying the seeds, right? And then it would be almost naive of us to think that that's all that we need to do is lay the seeds. And a garden, in order for it to flourish and to be something that we're really proud of, and to be something that bears really delicious fruit and something that's actually edible, right? We need to also be aware and understand that gardens require tending and sowing and removing of weeds, and it requires great care, okay? And so I'm almost getting the sense that the analogy, just to stick with it until the end, it's like when you're in that container and you're just like head over heels with someone, and this is like your person, and then you start to meet those challenges that really grow you and that really like reveal to you a lot of your fears and insecurities and those kind of deep karmic things that we don't necessarily want to, they're things that kind of start to close our hearts down a little bit, right? So I feel like it's just an analogy of like understanding that that's part of the process, and that you wouldn't want to give up something so beautiful just because it's like your head is getting a little bit involved. I feel like sometimes too, it's like we can be really open-hearted, and we can like, falling in love is that process of, it's the rush of the openness that we feel with someone. And we start to feel really safe with them, and then it pushes things to the surface that need to be seen in order for us to be even more free. And then people, if they lack a certain amount of spiritual awareness and emotional awareness, that can usually be when people tend to break things off, is because there was that rush of openness, and now our traumas are starting to resurface because our nervous systems recognize this is a safe space for these things to come to the surface and these things to finally be addressed. And so I really am getting that you're just meeting some pockets of challenge where you're at, and it seems like you're wondering, should I pull out? And this could be a job with the Wands energy. This could be like an entrepreneurial direction, and this most certainly could be lovers, right? And have to do with like your person, your soulmate, right? Someone that is like a direct mirror to you. This could have to do with that, because we have, there's so many reminders here that's like sticking with it is going to reap such beautiful rewards. And just because the heart is closing a little bit, it's just important to recognize that there's the rush of the openness in the beginning, and it's like, wow, I'm so in love, and then the mind starts to get involved. We start to reside more in the mind and less in the heart, and so it's not necessarily that we start to lose feelings for someone or that we fall out of love with someone. What's really happening is that our heart is just starting to close. And so every part of our life is going to experience that. Our true nature is to be in love at all times with everything. And there are certain people and things in our life that can remind us of our true nature, and that can anchor us into our true state more easily than other things. And so just because we have the King of Wands, this is on this side is what you're encouraged to release, on this side is what you're encouraged to step into. It's interesting because it's the same. I'm being shown it's the same energy. It's like, this is like my indication, it's the same energy, it's the same timeline. The only thing is, like, it might seem to lessen in intensity at times, and that's okay. That's part of the natural ebbs and flows of life, and that doesn't necessarily mean that oh, like, I gotta break things off, or oh, I gotta like stop going in this direction, this is clearly not for me anymore. No, it's like, that's just your mind is getting more involved, and so of course it's going to lessen, right? But over here we have the rush of the excitement and the newness, the openness, and while it's beautiful to hold on to that and those memories, and it's important to be like, oh yeah, like the purity of the love that brought you together, it's also important to recognize that your relationship is going to ebb and flow between those high highs and then those points that are feel like a low, just because the mind's getting more involved and your heart is a little tender and it's closing. And again, a sturdy spiritual awareness reminds us these things, that everything is cyclical, and that to expect something to be high all the time or at its peak all the time is or flourishing all the time, or business to be bringing in clients all the time is not realistic. Okay, and what is realistic, however, is to recognize that these are all helping us to be more sturdy in our truth, and that it's all helping us to be more skilled surfers of the waves that will inevitably come, and more graceful, right? And it's not about wishing for the waves to not be there. It's about wishing for, or hoping for, asking for, reaching for the skills and the grace to become better surfers. And it's when we have the skill and the grace, it's like the waves are what makes it fun, right? And like, it's not fun with no waves. If you're a surfer, you want the waves. And so as a soul that's here for expansion and that's here to learn and to grow, you want the waves, okay? And that's how we become masterful, more masterful. So I am seeing that whatever this is for you, that sticking with it, bottom of the deck energy here, that sticking with it is actually your leap. Okay, this is you choosing to bet on something that a deeper part of you knows is for you. A deeper part of you recognizes that this person is your home, or this is where you're supposed to be at this time, that this timeline is for you, this career is for you, whatever it is, this is for you. And the energy is gaining momentum again. So maybe you waned a little bit and now we're waxing now, that's natural cycles. The moon wanes and it waxes, and we never trip out about it. We're never like, oh my God, like, what does this mean? The moon is starting to lose its brightness. What does this mean? We're just like, okay, yeah, it's waning, but it'll, gain brightness and gain its full capacity again. This is helping you to develop more equanimity on your path in general. But overall, this new moon in Taurus, Taurus being ruled by Venus, it really is just driving home the point of, like, there is love, there is all types of prosperity if you're sticking with this, if you choose to really lean into this. Greater than I feel like you could even imagine, like true prosperity. The things that when we're on our deathbed, we can look back and be like, look, like, this was such a beautiful life. I'm going to share this with you guys because I think it's so beautiful, and I think death is something that we need to be talking about more, and just be less weird about in the West. You guys probably aren't, but it's just culturally, death is like, people don't like to talk about it. But I recently lost both my dog and my grandpa within the span of the 14 hours. But my grandpa, he was in hospice, and my grandma shared the story about, he was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer at the beginning of the year. Or no, it was like a couple months ago. And he chose hospice over treatment. And so we didn't know how long he had. It was just going to run its course. It could have been weeks, days, months. Ended up being, like a month or so. And the day before, just a few hours before he passed, he told my grandma, I feel like my end is near. But he was in such peace the entire time. And the nurses recognized some things in him. They just recognized you know, when someone is close, and just let my grandma know, like, it's really close, because he was exuding some behaviors. And anyways, it was my grandma, and then my uncle and my cousin were surrounding him. My older cousin, she's old enough to be an aunt, but we're surrounding him, and my grandpa was just saying what a beautiful life he lived, and he was saying how he has such cherished memories, such beautiful memories, and that he had such a beautiful life. And he just said, this is perfect. He was just saying, this is perfect. And so he was at such peace. And I feel like that's the goal for all of us, is that we're taking those risks and we're choosing to lean into those things. And, you know, that was my grandma's life partner of over 50 years. And I would be damned if they didn't have certain things, you know, certain challenges that came up, and that their leap in many moments was choosing to lean into the love, and choosing to lean into the unconditionality of that love, and holding someone, and sticking in that container. And again, could apply to a partner, a friend, a relationship. Just, I feel like you guys already are aware of the thing that you've been going back and forth about, of like, am I ready to leave behind this thing and to jump in a new direction, you know, to free myself of this thing. But I feel like this is confirmation, especially if you kind of are like going back and forth, and there's a deeper part of you that's like, wow, like there's a part of me that's like, I can trust this, but then the mind just tends to come in and override it, and you're not sure what's the mind, what's the heart, you know. But I feel like for those people, especially if you've stuck around this long, I feel like this is a really good indication of like, you know, what's going to be when you're on your deathbed. I feel like sometimes we can, when we go into those like meditations, those types of meditations, it can be really useful to just ask, you know, what are those things that I will be so happy to have pursued and to stick with? And what are those things that maybe I might be like, wow, like maybe the next one, you know, maybe in the next life. And to really just lean into those things, you know, because if there's one thing we're each promised for sure in this life, regardless of any karma, regardless of anything we came to explore, or any like part of this infinite play we came to play, this part we, you know, we came to play, and out of all of the infinite parts, if there's one thing that's guaranteed to all of us, it's that it's going to be over, and that all of these relationships have an end, one way or another. All of these timelines have an end, one way or another, in this lifetime at least. And so what would maybe be something that you would be a little bit bummed out for not like really giving a chance? Okay, but yeah, all to say, you're being encouraged to, the next leap is really leaping into the next level of this thing, and to you know, just recognize what's happening. You know, our magnetism starts to decrease, and therefore our attraction towards certain things and our fire towards certain things will decrease the more the mind becomes involved. But it's important to lean into those spheres and to let it show you what it's meant to show you. Because as you clear those things, then you're just leveling up your baseline a little bit more at a time, right? And you're going to have an even stronger fire, an even stronger attraction, an even deeper bond with this person, an even deeper love with this job, this career, this timeline, whatever it is. But yeah, your next leap is into the next level of this thing that you're already in. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this here for now. I do offer, again, personal readings, relationship readings, etc. on my site, Soul Purpose Readings on my website. And if there's something that, there's a topic that is not there that you want to dive into, just send me an email and I'll make you a custom spread. All right, my friends, much love. What's up, group number 3? Welcome to your reading, your next leap of faith. There are 3 aspects to this reading: the leap you're being encouraged to take, what you're encouraged to release, and what you're encouraged to step into. So really quick, I do want to remind you guys that I offer personal readings on my website at this time. I also offer breathwork journeys and breathwork and meditation containers in general. And if you want to find out more about my offerings, you can head to the links in the description box. I also encourage you to sign up to my newsletter, because this will give us some, whenever I have offerings, whether in-person events or like online events, you guys will be the first to know about those and get deals and all of that fun jazz. Okay, so yeah, to get into your reading, also just so you know, this is bottom of the deck energy. Okay, but to get into this reading, I definitely feel like this has to do with your financial situation. Okay, just gonna say that off the jump. very earthly things, very 3D lessons and explorations that we're getting into. So right away, I do want to emphasize that. So if you're not inquiring about a financial thing and if you should take a leap, then this is maybe not your reading, because this most certainly has to do with finances. But maybe stick around, because sometimes I'm surprised as well. So I feel like you guys made a decision that I feel like felt very exciting, and you had faith that this would be very fruitful financially, and that this would lead you down a certain timeline, and that what you were putting in, you would get back an equal amount, if not more. Like the value you were putting in would get you back an equal amount of value, if not more. And I feel like this does have to do financially. This could also be saying that you like moved in a new direction, and you like made a move or something, some sort of move that you made or decision you made, and you had the idea that things would be more fair or more balanced than maybe they're proving to be in this moment. Okay, and so I feel like there's definitely some fears coming up. Definitely some like lack mentality that I'm seeing with this Four of Pentacles, and this idea that I need to hold on to what I have. Okay, because with this a time to give rather than to take, these two coming up next to each other is very telling. What it is that you're going through. And I couldn't help, as I was sitting with this energy, couldn't help but hear the line from the Tao Te Ching. This is something I'm applying in my own life right now. It's one of the verses talks about when you want something, to let its opposite occur. And so if you want something to like gain strength, then you first must let it weaken. And on the same side, or the opposite side of the same coin, if you want something to weaken, you must let it kind of come, like to its full thing. You must let it come into full bloom, that kind of thing. And so I feel like there's many fears that are being highlighted of not having enough, of being a failure, of like maybe your savings are dwindling. There's definitely a lot being illuminated for you right now. There's just I feel like the intensity of this, the realness of your situation is real, and it's a lot. And I'm not, here to say that these aren't very normal things to experience on a human level, okay? But you're actually being encouraged to lean in the direction and to do more of those things that kind of reiterate to you that you'll be good, you'll be taken care of. Group number 3, I feel like it's important to know that although things have been tight before, or and things, you might not have known how things were going to work out in the past, but look where you are now. Things always worked out for you. They always seem to have worked out for you. And so I am getting that the leap that you're being encouraged to take. Maybe there's like a new like investment that you're wanting to make. Okay, Four of Pentacles can talk about investments, like a long-term, like the possibility for a long-term gain, but first making a short-term risk, taking a short-term investment, a short-term like hit financially. Okay, and so I feel like the energy was there, like you weren't picking up, like it's almost like you made this decision, you merged with this timeline, and you're like, this is what my intuition was telling me was going to come. Why is this not what I'm seeing? And it's because it's about merging with those timelines and having fun on the 3D and learning and just playing in the 3D. But it's like we must go through the fire, and it's like this rite of passage that you're kind of going through right now is really kind of forcing you to look at these things. It's kind of like you're between a rock and a hard place, I feel, in many senses. And to maybe not necessarily like give up or let go of the energy that drew you in this timeline in the first place, but to recognize that everything that's happening on Earth is a lesson, right? This is a university for the soul, right? We're not just here to hang out. We're learning while we're here. And it could be helpful to be like, okay, what would the lesson here be? All right. And that's a really good way. That's how I tend to navigate certain things when I'm in challenging positions. And it seems like there's a lot on the line. I tend to think, okay, what would the lesson be? And if I were to have learned the lesson, what would that lesson have been? You know, if I were to go through this whole timeline and go through all of these things, you know, especially the things that I feel like I'm fearing the most, what would that lesson be? And oftentimes, we don't have to learn it, right? We don't have to go down that timeline. Oftentimes our fears are not a good indication anyways of what's going to happen, but it can be really beneficial to be like, what would I learn? And then you start living from that level anyway. So no matter what happens, whether it's the best case scenario or the worst case scenario, it's like you're prepared to meet those lessons head on. But I am seeing there is a lot, like the Sun card just magnifies the energy of whatever is surrounding it. And it seems like it's almost like this person is even shielding themselves from the Sun here, because I feel like the amount of discomfort this is pushing to the surface, the amount of uncomfortable feelings, and just, it's really highlighting some deeply held karmic things, not just in your own field, but in, you know, generational karma, and just planetarily. We're trained to see in a very limited way. We're trained to see through the eyes of limitation, because, you know, capitalism, consumerism works a lot better when people are seeing through those lenses. But when we see that, you know, abundance, you know, works differently, right? Or how, there's certain texts too. I think it's law of one, maybe it's the, I think it's the law of one text too, where it talks about like, and this is, if you're not sure or familiar with that, it's essentially a text that was channeled back in the 80s. And it's a group of very high density beings. And another way of saying that is really expanded beings that have kind of like gone through, have way surpassed Earth's lessons, and are a very evolved consciousness, a very evolved civilization, to where they've kind of become one, because they've like transcended the laws of duality and transcended the lessons of duality, I should say. And so it's a channeling that really resonates, you know, on a really deep level, where you're like, wow, like I don't know how I remember all of this, but there is something about all of this that is so like deeply resonates and is so true. Like I forgot that this is it, right? Anyways, just to give a little context of that, but essentially there's a reminder there of whatever it feels like you're lacking in life, it's because you're not giving it, right? So whatever you could feel that you're lacking, it's because you're not giving it, because everything we see in our life is a representation of what we're giving, fears included. Okay, and so I really am seeing an emphasis here about it's a time to give out to the world, and even to yourself, those things that you feel like you are currently lacking. Okay, so giving out those things. So especially when you feel like money is tight and someone asks for change and you have a couple of extra dollars, giving those extra dollars to that person that's asking for it, right? That's the kind of thing, those are the kind of lessons that it seems like you're going through right now. Deep financial lessons for sure, and just like how to navigate the 3D realms with trust, etc. But I do feel like what I'm seeing is like a burning up of this karma with the Sun next to the Five of Pentacles. And it's like a burning up. How do we burn that up? We like sit in the fire. And sitting in the fire is like doing those things, taking those risks, going down those avenues that our rational mind is screaming to not do. But a deeper part of us just like knows and understands and remembers the laws of this universe, and the laws of unity, and the laws of give and take, and the law, which is essentially karma, right? You reap what you sow. And so if you're giving those things away that it is that you want the most, it's because you're living in that vibration, or you're saying to the universe, I have this, you know, I have an abundance of this, so I'm going to continue to give it away. And it does start to catch up to you. It really does. I've definitely had to practice this in my own life in very many ways, taking very many things that seemed risky, where I had to really look at the reality of things and look at the type of person I would want to be, and regardless of the situation. And it just seems like you're holding really tight to something, or you're definitely it seems like there's a lot of gripping and grasping, and like it's almost like that, like I gotta hold on to it, like if I want it I gotta hold on to it, and it's like, this is mine, right? And it's really limiting in many different ways. But another example that's coming up is like, you know, you're drawing from the bank of the universe, right? And so that's a lot grander than just the bank of pile 3 or, you know, insert your name here. And so, yeah, whatever this investment is, you're investing in yourself in some way, or you're just on a timeline that feels a little bit like desolate, you know, keep at it and keep making decisions with your money that are coming from your heart with all this green ray energy and giving away what it is that you want more. And yeah, if there's any type of investment that you are thinking about making, you've merged with this timeline, it hasn't turned out how you thought, should I keep investing in this? Or, you know, it's like things aren't as maybe you expected, I would say do it. You know, there's been many different decisions I made. Gosh, there was one point I had like $700 in my savings, I think, and Lee Harris was coming into town. He's like a spiritual guy, love his work. All here for the highly sensitive people, the empaths of this world. And I was like, I think I dropped like half of my savings to go see him in Portland for a weekend and did not regret it. And I was really going through a lot of this kind of stuff. I was like, okay, I know this is going to be a testament of faith, and I know that this is kind of like a test right now. And I do think I passed it, and I'm good, and things are always good, and things have only gotten better. And you know, it's just like, this is a university, and we learn through application. We don't learn from I guess fear does teach us things, but also I feel like these are things you know and you wish you could exude more of. And so this is your opportunity to exude more of that, you know, to if we want more intuition, or if we want to trust our intuition more, or to trust the universe more, then we need to be making decisions that are based off intuition and trust, right? So I hope this brings clarity, confirmation, and peace to you. Group number 3, if you'd like a personal reading to go deeper into these energies and to get a more, you know, personal peek into this thing, this timeline, whatever it is, I do offer spreads on my website. And if there's something on there that I don't offer, if there's nothing on there that like you're like, okay, there's this topic I really want to dive into in particular, send me an email and I'll for sure make you a custom spread, okay? I hope this finds you well. Exciting things ahead. Much love. Hello, group number 4. Welcome to your reading. This is about your next leap of faith. There are 3 aspects to this reading today. The first is the leap you are being encouraged to take. The next is what you are being encouraged to release. And lastly, what you're encouraged to step into. Okay, so really excited to be diving into this with you guys. Just know I do offer personal readings. I offer breathwork journeys and breathwork and meditation sessions in general. These are tools that will completely transform your life. Okay, I've been doing breathwork, pranayama every day for about a year now, almost a year now in September. And when I tell you guys how radically my life has changed since I started, like, it's insane. It's a different timeline completely, and the happiest I've ever been, okay? And so these are gifts and tools that I'm happy to extend with you guys. And yeah, you'll definitely take a step away with tools you can use on a daily basis, okay, to help you just stay in your center, to get out of your mind, come into your body, your heart, where your intuition lives, and yeah, really navigate this path with a deeper conviction, okay? And if you want to stay in the loop of offerings, group events, online events, make sure you're subscribed to my newsletter. All of that can be found below in the description box, all right? So we're going to go ahead and get into this. So how I do this, I shuffle the deck many times as I'm marinating on the question. I find the Fool card. Fool is all about leaping into our next level of faith, okay? And the cards that surround it on each side give me more information into this leap and what it is you're considering and just where you're at in your life, okay? And this is bottom of the deck energy right here, and then just some more information from the oracle. Okay, so I feel like you're being reminded in this moment that sometimes in order to leap into those versions of ourselves, I really feel like this has to do more with embodiment, if anything, and maybe less to do exactly with like a new direction in life. But this level of embodiment this embodiment that you're reaching for and that life is pulling out of you is definitely going to continue to put you on timelines and put you down timeline, merge you with timelines that will really change what it is you see in your everyday life, okay? And just the people you're around, and the amount of fulfillment you're feeling in general, and how open your heart is, okay? Your magnetism in general, where you're just radiating and it seems like everything you need kind of comes to you, where it feels like you're barely lifting a finger and life is being created for you. You're being reminded that everything that you're going through to get there is also necessary. So the challenges that you meet in your day-to-day, the way that you bump up against your reality, the way that you are, just to use an example, because we do have the Two of Cups here, so this is a good analogy that's coming through. But, the only way we actually deepen our love with another is when we meet those challenges. Those challenges are not a blockway necessarily. They're not a barrier so much as they are a gateway. Okay, and that can do with so many areas of life, not just in love. It's a gateway for deeper love. It's a gateway for deeper respect. It's a gateway for deeper understanding, greater transparency, greater trust. Okay, and the same is true for the challenges that life is presenting you in any area of your life. Those challenges aren't barriers. They're not meant to stop you. They're not meant to be a punishment. They're not meant to be something to groan and moan over. Those are actually gateways. They're portals into a greater version of yourself. So it seems like there's things that are maybe coming up in your life that feel like it's, you're like, how, this is not what I expected, or like you started something, or like you had a vision for yourself, or you had visions for your dreams, and you started taking actions in the steps, like taking steps in the direction of those things, and now you're being met with all of these things that seem to be the opposite. But it's like, no, this is the way. And you're being encouraged to remain open and to stay curious about these things, and to maybe even do like some research, or to even just like expand your knowing or expand your horizons, and to maybe take a deeper dive into certain spiritual texts, or books, resources in general that are going to raise your spiritual intelligence and your emotional intelligence, your EQ and your SQ, in order to just have more faith. And love that, right into this, that have more faith that you're moving in the direction that you're meant to move in. Okay, so it seems like you're kind of in the beginning stages of something that actually has the opportunity to turn out very fruitful, and maybe you're getting beyond the first stages of something being new, where it's like exciting, and we still have that kind of almost naivety, or where we're seeing kind of through rose-colored lenses. And not to say that that's a negative thing, but also being able to, having a high spiritual intelligence, also you would recognize that, and there's just an understanding that with anything good, any good that we're meant to gain or to step into, it's like there is a rite of passage that we must go through, and there is like an almost where we're grappling with ourselves, we're at war with ourselves, or it seems like we're at war with this other person, or it seems like we're at war with our reality or the people in it, or it seems like one thing after another. I feel like that might be something that you're feeling, is it's just like one thing after another, and you're being encouraged to not necessarily look at these challenges as an indication that you're on the wrong path, or that your deepest dreams aren't meant for you, but just to know that you're just gaining your stride in whatever area this applies to you. Because I am getting, this is going to apply differently for a lot of people. I really am seeing that, because there's no suit that stands out in particular here, but that this could have to do with a romantic dynamic, this could have to do with a friend, this could have to do with a business partnership, this could have to do with a new you want to read something online, be like a tarot reader online, or you want to start a YouTube channel or something, okay? It's like having, just recognizing that you're in the beginning stages of laying a really solid foundation for yourself, and that what's on the other side, you're kind of being encouraged to like step into this version of yourself that carries themselves in a way that kind of knows that this is the name of the game, and that recognizes that you only draw to you what you need to become an even better version of yourself. And sometimes those things feel good, and sometimes those things feel shitty, but it's all meant to grow you. And when you're in that mentality, you're going to use everything that comes to you as grist for the mill, as some spiritual teachers or spiritual groups would say. You're going to use all of it to purify you. You're going to use all of it to become a better version of yourself. You're going to use all of it to increase your magnetism, to open your heart even more. There's a lot here about open-heartedness. I'm seeing the sun, I'm seeing a lion, Leo, okay, I'm seeing this cup inside the sun, okay, so there's a lot of reiteration here about an open heart, okay, and it's like one of those, it's like what I'm kind of seeing here is it's like, you open your heart to a certain extent, and you feel good about the direction you're moving in, and you start to get certain reflections, and then like things are pushed to the surface that are a little uncomfortable, or you're met with some things that, just as your heart is opening, you're like, oh, is it really safe to do this? Is it really safe to open? And it's, first of all, and secondly, just, it's meant to just like be clearing. It's not meant to be something that is like encouraging your heart to close, but it's like these protection mechanisms exist within you, these misperceptions exist within you, so as you open your heart more, these things will be pushed to the surface to be seen, and there will be certain things that happen in our external reality that kind of like trigger these things to be seen. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not in a safe space. I feel like the place you're in is exactly where you're meant to be. It is a safe container to grow. It is a safe place to be, and to recognize that these things are doing what they're meant to. This person is doing what they're meant to. This is, this place that you're in is what it's meant to, and it is pushing you down the timeline where you are abundant on every level. Okay, prosperity does lie ahead, and if you need to, to just be very, explore the things you need to explore. Like search, on your TikTok, right? Search on YouTube. Whatever it is that you're kind of grappling with within yourself, like gain as many perspectives as you can. Not only that, like gaining different perspectives on whatever your situation is on social media, or like, going to the library, going to the bookstore, whatever. Don't only like try to gain like you're not just gaining more perspectives, but you're also seeing how what it is you're going through, you're not alone, and that many people on the planet are going through something very similar, and it's all karmic in nature. It's just where the planet is at. If this didn't, as within, so without. So this is just like, it's not just your stuff, okay? I feel like just expanding your perception in general is really what your guides are, just reiterating here. That if it's existing within you to a certain degree of intensity, it's pretty safe to say that it's just something that the planet as a whole, our species, are just learning at this time, okay? And you're moving in a good direction, and don't be fooled by appearances is essentially the message here, and what you're being encouraged to step into through continuing to meet these parts within you, and to kind of release the pettiness and the like surface value of things, right? To go deeper, to continue to look deeper into yourself, because I feel like this is just like an inevitable timeline that you're on, and I feel like you kind of get that this is just kind of like where like I feel like you guys have just been working on yourselves for a really long time, and I feel like you're just meeting parts of yourself that are maybe pretty challenging to admit and to be honest about, or to just like witness, or to like have other people witness, or I feel like it's just a little bit uncomfy just because of the things that you're kind of being forced to look at within yourself. But it's all attached to your highest timeline, and it's all part of like a life of your dreams. It's like it just gets dreamier, and it just gets more in flow, it just gets more open, okay? And to just to keep that openness, keep that transparency, keep removing those things that cause you to like shut down your heart. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the people that, maybe are like triggering you, and a deeper part of you knows that it's a safe person, but maybe it's just like triggering some of your worst fears, not because they're actually happening, but because you're like, oh, like this could happen, or whatever timeline however this applies in your life. Okay. It's, you're just really being reminded that it's like part of this. And sometimes the releasing the blockages more has to do with releasing certain mindsets, releasing certain like responses, reactions, and to like dive beneath the surface and to utilize things like breath work, meditation, etc., to help kind of release some density, to release some to help shine some light on these aspects that are harder for you to see clearly. Okay. And communication is being highlighted here, being as open with communication and as transparent as you can. And just like talking about it, being open about these things and not holding so much shame around these aspects of yourself, and to know it's all part of the journey. And no one becomes great without addressing these things within themselves. And the more we can just normalize working through karma and what that looks like, and not attaching the truth of people to like their karma, not attaching like the truth of people to the things they do out of protection, and the behaviors they do that they've learned to like survive, and that they the protection mechanisms they've developed, that's not them. Protection mechanism and ego is not them, right? And this is a reminder too to not like claim identity to these things that are moving through you. It's not the truth of who you are. And on one level, yeah, because it's like what you're experiencing in this moment, it's relative truth. It's not absolute truth, right? And it's all part of like, you need to see these things. These triggers are coming up for a reason. These reflections you're getting from your partner, whatever, this feedback you're getting from your reality, it's all meant to trigger these things to the surface to set you free. Okay. It is leading you in the direction of your greatest self, whether you know it or not, because I feel like maybe you're starting to get reflections that you didn't get before. I just saw 1444 on the clock, or 444. And I just saw it twice. I just saw 444 and then 4444. Okay, so that might be a confirming number. Okay, confirmation for you. That, yeah, there just might be a reminder. You might start to see that in certain situations, or when you're thinking about certain things, that might be a number that comes up that reminds you that, these things are coming up, because like it's like you can't set yourself free from a cage that you don't know you're in. And these little protection mechanisms we have, the ways that we shut down, the ways that we close down, the ways that we close our heart, these are all protection mechanisms. And it's like the ego thinks it's protecting us from things and like trying to keep us from certain outcomes, but generally what happens is it walks us exactly into the things that we're afraid of the most, whether it's like losing someone, or like we're afraid of that, we're going to lose someone, but we start to shut our heart down. It's like, of course you're going to lose that person, because you don't have the magnetism that's necessary to maintain that type of reality, to maintain that type of bliss, that next level of bliss. Okay. And so there is definitely an encouragement here to see these things not as impediments or as blockages, but this is your gateway. This is your doorway into this version of yourself and into this reality that feels very dreamy, that feels like it's like a dream come true. Okay. And to keep communication open and to just keep the flow open. Okay. Don't let pride get in the way. Pride is of the heart, right? And I'm seeing all this Leo energy, all of these lions reminds me of pride. And to keep it open, keep it as clear as you can with yourself and with other people. And you're gonna feel not only so much more connected to your timeline, to the people in your life, and to this person, or to just yourself in general, but the universe as a whole. You're gonna feel like you're just dancing and you're just supported, you're cared for. But yeah, keep things open, keep a curiosity, keep exploring, keep sharing, keep showing up. And I feel like more and more you're just going to feel it's that weird dichotomy that as you just let yourself be and let yourself like just be honest about where you're actually at, you're going to step into those versions of yourself that you once only dreamt of, and very quickly, much quicker than you think. Okay, so I'm going to leave this reading here for now, my friends. I offer, if you want to go deeper into this topic, check out my website, the personal spreads that I offer. If there's a topic in particular you want to dive into that I don't offer on my website, reach out to me, send me an email, and I can for sure put together a custom spread for you. You have everything you need, my friend. Much love.